what AI has enabled is there's more collaboration now. And I think it's slowly happening. AI started as something that every individual has to experience, personally, with just one device. Now, I have seen more and more, you know, places like ChatGPT, Claude, they have co-working spaces now where you can collaborate with other thinkers. So you can think together with AI. And I think that's a really kind of a special kind of superpower that hasn't been explored yet.
Yeah.
And in learning, to your point, I think learning has to be collaborative. You need to bounce off your ideas and thoughts. In fact, I passed my engineering exams by learning with others. I tried doing it myself, and I just couldn't do it as efficiently as I did with other people in the room.
Welcome to another episode of the Omni POV. Aryeh Sternberg, co-founder of the Omni International AI Film Festival. I am joined by my co-founder, Mr. Travis Rice, and our special guest today is Ankit Mishra, otherwise known as Mish, who is going to be having a conversation with us about generative AI, film, and many things in between. Welcome today. Maybe you give us a quick introduction to who you are and what you're doing here.
Yeah, thanks, Ari, and thanks, Travis, for having me. So I've been working at the intersection of AI, filmmaking, and tech for the last 10 years or so. I started my career in electrical and electronics engineering, which gave me some, basic level knowledge of programming and computer science. And then I moved on to filmmaking, and arrived at AI now after all these years. It's been, so finally able to connect all the three dots.
I think that's such a beautiful intersection right now. And I've had the pleasure of seeing some of your edits before. And also know that you've just finished a pretty robust edit project on a documentary. Maybe you can talk a little bit about the way that you see film, maybe film editing or film imagery intersecting with what's happening in AI right now.
Yeah, that's a very interesting, I think, area at the moment, editing especially, because I feel like that was the earliest introduction to filmmakers when tools like Descript, etc., came out a few years ago. And that's what caught my attention as a filmmaker. I was working in a newsroom, and it would take us, quite a long time to convert an hour-long video into smaller pieces. But all of a sudden, you could do it with just a click. And now, obviously, things have, become way more complicated and, detailed in terms of what you can do with AI. But I feel like at the same time, there's this disconnect between most filmmakers, even myself, when it comes to generative AI or using AI, even for editing. I end up using a manual workflow that I'm used to, because the things that I want to do after trying the prompts, 5 or 6 times, it takes me longer to use AI. Whereas I met a lot of people who are not natively, film editors, but they work faster with AI. So that is something interesting that I've been trying to explore myself. That why? What is the reason? It could be, that I'm biased to a manual workflow. But yeah, I'm slowly trying to familiarize myself with AI tools and try to remove the bias as a filmmaker with the manual workflow. Uh, yeah.
I think that question of control and quality existing somewhere on a crazy spectrum, what that looks like. Because I mean, with you having a great background as an editor and a great skill, that question of where is the specific thing that you want, and you know what you want. Whereas a lot of people who are coming new to this are kind of more okay with the averageness.
Yeah.
Just add on to that with CDance 2.5, which has recently been released, and 30 seconds of edited multi-shot, both sound, dialogue. Where does that line get drawn where the filmmaker and the creator's input and design is taken away by the automation? And can we expect AI to give us something that is as good as, the filmmaker's creative manual, editing and input?
Yeah, look, and I would really love to see more advancement when it comes to things like motion graphics, because as a film editor, that is the kind of the most time-consuming part of any film editing process, especially with documentaries. And being having an engineering background and understanding AI to some point, I know that it's possible to create workflows where you can just type a prompt that, hey, can you animate this text like XYZ? Those tools don't exist yet. I feel like most of the AI filmmaking focus has been on fast editing and generating footage instead of improving more complicated workflows rather than just splicing a clip into 10 different videos. But yeah, so I'm really hoping to see more progress in that area.
It's definitely a rapidly evolving area. Morphic, I think, is really pushing that editing tool boundary, and like, what was it? It was even a year ago there was no camera control, and now that's kind of just the standard that we've grown into. Yeah, where do you see this kind of stuff pushing into next?
I think I feel like very soon we will be able to create alternative versions of films, an alternate ending. It's already happening, in independent projects, etc. But you might have a feature on Netflix that could, maybe the villain wins the story instead of the hero. And also in documentary space, I think that's where it will be most useful because I have always been an audiovisual learner, and I acquired most of my knowledge through documentaries. But there are so many documentaries. I've spent more time searching on YouTube or BBC and all these channels, finding a topic that I want to learn about. Whereas I could now simply type something that I want to learn about, and I could get a detailed infographic documentary on it. Some very low level versions of that already exist, but I feel like that is going to be a really useful
I,
workflow.
I totally agree, and I think that your work that you're doing with the AI public school and the stuff that you're growing around that, I think there's a lot of opportunity and questions around that, and particularly at university level. There's that question of, how does a person learn in this era? And I think that we get to see that develop, and universities change right now.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, I mean, when I built AI public school, it was because my own education, I was doing my master's in AI, and most of the things that I wanted to learn were either not part of the curriculum because they had just appeared on the radar, or so instead of relying on tools like ChatGPT or YouTube, I decided to build something that would give me a clear, structured way of learning. But at the same time, I kept thinking that I want to go beyond text or images. And video is at the moment it's a very expensive, thing to create, and we all know the cost of the GPUs and SSDs are just going skyrocketing every day. But I think that is definitely the hope that in learning and education, the generative AI element can be used by filmmakers to create audiovisual learning on demand.
When we think about learning styles and thinking styles, we have auditory, visual learning, and kinesthetic learning. And I'm just as you're saying this, I'm thinking about with this deep dive into digital delivery of learning, do we lose that kinesthetic, that hands-on ability where people just type and learn and either design something for themselves or go and find something that's already been created? What happens to that kinesthetic space where we're in a space, we're sharing physical space with each other and we're doing things and learning from each other in that way?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think that has been the question for a while, especially after the COVID lockdown, where the remote working and remote learning became a very normalized framework. But I think what AI has enabled is there's more collaboration now. And I think it's slowly happening. AI started as something that every individual has to experience, personally, with just one device. Now, I have seen more and more, places like ChatGPT, Claude, they have co-working spaces now where you can collaborate with other thinkers. So you can think together with AI. And I think that's a really kind of a special kind of superpower that hasn't been explored yet.
Yeah.
And in learning, to your point, I think learning has to be collaborative. You need to bounce off your ideas and thoughts. In fact, I passed my engineering exams by learning with others. I tried doing it myself, and I just couldn't do it as efficiently as I did with other people in the room. And with something even like AI Public School, the idea is that if person A creates a course, then person B can remix or add modules to it, and continue their own learning. And I feel a lot of a lot of students even in my master's course when I was doing my AI master's, it was mostly online, and the moment I was able to talk to other students in person or online, that really changed the whole learning flow, the whole dynamic. Yeah.
We are, unfortunately, quite tight on time here. Travis, or any other last question that you've been dying to ask Mish?
No, I just wanted to reach out and let you know that Omni is really interested. Omni being the group that we work with, obviously, we're really interested in leaning heavily into the education space. Accreditation is really important and critical in this kind of evolving area. But I think it's most important that we approach the education aspect broadly. And this is really because we're not seeing a lot of pickup and traction in the higher education area on its own. So for us at Omni, I think it's important that we figure out a way to work with programs like yours and help them
Absolutely.
grow and give them audiences and figure out a way to work together. So I think it's on us.
Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity, even to just talk about this here, because I think what you're doing with Omni has been, as a filmmaker, I think it's really important to give platform to any kind of filmmaking, and some of the stuff that I've seen at some of these, AI film festivals has been really interesting, especially when it comes from, I went to one of the Omni events, and I saw this person. I heard this talk where there was a director who has been working in the industry for the last 20 something years, and seeing how generative AI has helped and changed their workflow. It's really interesting to see, because if you're good at something, now you can be great at it using AI. And the benchmark and the bar has been raised, but the possibilities are also endless. You don't need to spend 10 years learning a craft. You can spend 10 hours learning how to use AI to fuse in your current workflow, and all of a sudden you are much better at it than you were a month ago. So I think that's a really good thing.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Mish. Travis, great to have you on this one. And to all our listeners, we'll share the links to Mish's work. And thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.